guys, and welcome back to another episode of Backpack BushCraft. Last week, as we wrapped up our compass, I said the next thing we talk about was candles. And with candles in mind, I decided to make a nice craft for you that I think anybody can make, relatively cheap, and it's very important to bushcraft. This week, we're making tin can lanterns. So, let's talk about the tin lantern. The tin lantern has a lot of uses, and I'm basically going to make my sales pitch of why it's a C in the 10 C's. Candles, besides being a source of fire and heat, also serve a very important purpose, which is lighting. I remember when I was doing my C's, there were times at night when I would want to be reading or just doing anything, and I was absolutely at the mercy of the sun. When the sun went down, I bed down. And, you know, the sun went down probably about 7 or 8 o'clock. 8 hours of sleep. That put me rising up at about 4 a.m. It was very hard to sleep like that. But, if you have a little bit of light, a little bit of candle, you can keep your night going on just a little bit longer. It helps you stay up to do other tasks. I could read, I could write, I could work on small projects. Maybe I could be sitting there twisting cord. I could be sharpening arrows for a hunt in the morning. I could be carving out some part to a trap or something that I was going to have to set. Really having just some extra light that's not your campfire. I mean, think about it. Think of how much fuel that campfire is going to take up just to give you lighting. This takes up almost no fuel. Just a light, a wick, and some fat, tallow, wax. Basically a lipid substance. But after talking about the purposes, I'm sure you want to try this out for yourself. So without any further ado, please relax and get ready. I'll show you how to make these lanterns. Alright, so let's make this tin can lantern. First thing you're going to need is a can. Now, there's two things I look for in a can. Number one, I want it to be sealed top. I don't want the pop top stuff. The pop top stuff that I have come to find has weaker walls and they will split when you fill these up to freeze them. Okay? That's a later step. We'll talk more about it here in a minute. And the other thing that I look for is I look for cord. The reason you want cord is it's not so mushy. And when you make a hole in the bottom of this and you cut the hole out, if it's mushy, it will get caught and it is going to be an absolute mess to get rid of. So like I said, the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a can. You're going to need a nail. You're going to need a hammer for a said nail. You will also need a pair of these. I thought they were called tin snips, but they're not. They're called something else. But you can find these at Walmart. I think I paid $5, maybe $7 for like a pack of 3 or something like that. The last thing you'll need is a bowl to catch all of the cord that comes out here. Actually, I guess that's not the last thing. The last thing you'll need is some type of towel. That's basically using it to protect my work surface. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this nail and I'm going to poke some holes at the top here in a circle. I'm then going to take these snips, cut out that circle, set the metal off to the side, and pour the contents into the bowl. Alright guys, so after that we have a bowl of cord here. We're going to freeze this with the other cord that we've been collecting, and we're going to use that as fishing bait for next year. All the food that comes out of the can in this method, do not consume. It has a possibility of a piece of metal falling down into that and contaminating the food. Do not eat it. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this up with water. And we're going to freeze it for about 24 hours. But thinking about that, I already froze another can last night. We'll bring it out. We'll use it instead. Okay, so we moved on to the step 2. After your can is frozen, you now have the ability to put your design on it if you wish. Now, when working these, there's a couple ways to do your pattern. The first time I did it, I straight up drew my design and I dotted, because you're not going to be able to get a lot of detail into it. It's just going to be, imagine kind of like a connect the dots. So you're going to have big dots to kind of represent the big points of the design, and then you're going to have little dots that sort of guide the eyes to the big parts. Kind of doesn't make a lot of sense unless you see what I'm talking about. But that's what we're going to do. But that's how you do it. The first one I did was a star. I don't really like it. It didn't really come out right. So I'm going to try one freehand. I haven't done it before. But all you're going to need for this next step is a nail and a hammer. Let me explain how this works. When you froze the water inside the can, the water went all the way to the outside of the can. So it's at the edge. If you hit an empty can with a nail and a hammer, you're going to dent it. You will not pierce it with a hole, okay? With the ice there, it's going to dent a little bit, but only the place where the nail is present. The rest of it will not dent in because there's already something stopping it. Kind of makes sense? Okay, that's why you freeze it. If this starts to get warm, you have to go back and refreeze it. If it gets too hot, the ice will melt. You will then be unable to do it. So with that, we'll go ahead and start. Okay, so what I have on here is the Viking rune for fire, torch, light, I think intelligence maybe too. I can't remember all the different things. When we get rid of the ice, we're going to add 2 holes to it. I'm going to do 90 degrees from that lod. And this is where each of my bell holes will go. So when I put my bell through, it'll have something to hang on. Okay, so there is where I did my hole. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out my square. Going from here, I'm going to follow this line all the way to the back. I'm going to put a last hole. And that's going to begin the place where my candle's going to go. And it'll be on the back side. Now, we can do this part while there's ice in here and while there's not ice in here. It's up to you. I'm going to try to do it while there's still ice in here. So you take a ruler and you're going to put that hole at 75 or 3/4 of an inch. Okay? Now, from there you're going to have to kind of eyeball. I have a pretty good marker on here. But you're going to basically move 3/4 of an inch to the left, 3/4 of an inch to the right. And that's going to give you a 1.5 inch line. Yeah, pretty close. It's going to give you something like that. The reason I'm using 1/2 inch is that is the size of candle that I'm going to be using for these. So let's say you're using a smaller candle. You don't have to go 1/2 inch. Let's say you're using a bigger candle. You may want to go 2 inches. Definitely, I do recommend a square over a circle. It's easier to make a square safe as it is to a circle, and I'll explain more about how I make them safe here in a minute. But that is roughly what I'm looking for. Alright, so 5 minutes is of hot water, and it's done. The next part I'm going to do, the next part is I have to cut out my second square. Okay, and there we've cut out the square. Alright, for the next step, we're going to be adding our bell, and we're also going to be smoothing out some of the edges. You can use this with a file. I think that would work real well. I just haven't had any luck with it, but I think better people than me can do it. What I do is I like to just cut out some of the rough edges. That seems to work real well. Always put a little duct tape on it. And what my duct tape is going to do is it's going to heat up and still stick. And it's going to keep those sharper parts from cutting me. And I'm doing this knowing full well that more likely this duct tape will burn away at some point or melt away. Just more likely going to happen. But if I have a kit built out of the 10Cs, I can make repairs to it very easily just using the tape I have with me. So there you go. This should go without saying, but don't let kids play with these. And once you can stick your finger in there and you don't get cut, then I would say you're good. There you go. Taped up on the bottom sides. I can run my finger around here. Next, we'll put on the bell. So for the bell, I have just a metal clothes hanger here, about a little over 20 inches. What you want to do is you want to take the clothes hanger and get it through both the holes you made earlier. And get them both lined up at the top. Okay. You then want to kind of form it just a little bit. Okay, but once you have the clothes hanger through the holes, you're then going to take these two pieces here and you're going to bend them over each other. You want to do this very slowly because it will crack. But the main thing is you just want it to bend back over itself like that. So get some bend out of this part. Okay. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Again, add a little duct tape. I just like to wrap that connection up. If you're in the field and this comes apart, you can make repairs. That's one of the reasons I'm like using duct tape for this part, is I can always make repairs. And there we have it. My square got a little off center from the bail. I think that was where it was popped up on the top. Probably should just measure a little bit better, but that's my own fault. I can honestly go over there and readjust it, but it's cheap, easy to build, and I'm gonna make some more of these. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you go out and make you some candle lanterns yourself. These really are cheap and easy to make. Almost anybody can do it. Whether you do it the method that I showed you, or if you go on YouTube and find the other methods where they take the top off and do it that whole way, either one gets you an A. But definitely try these out. Definitely make them. I guess some more warnings, just in case I didn't say it. Do not touch the top. This is very hot. Anything basically above the slide of your square is going to heat up first and fast. So make sure you're not touching up here or messing around with this as soon as it's lit up. Definitely pick you up some of these. These are cool. I hope you all like the Kenneris idea. I love Viking stuff, and I thought a Viking rune on my lantern would be just phenomenal. Well guys, that'll do it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week we'll continue on with candles. We'll actually be talking about electronic candles or flashlights and stuff, so you don't want to miss that. And to make sure you don't miss it, you need to subscribe to the channel, Backpack Bushcraft. You also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at BushCraft. You can also check out the website where I post a blog every Sunday night, 10 p.m. EST. That is www.backpackbushcraft.com. And until next time, guys, keep those fires burning. Put another log on for me.